Okay, my name is Annie, and I'm the founder of Alienation, and I have a website, grandalienation.com. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not like a life coach. I'm not a doctor or anything, but it's just, I always say I'm a person with eyes and a brain. So on my website and on all of my socials, I talk about grandparent alienation. And it's like, of course, it's tied to parental alienation, and it's adult child parental alienation. There's so many labels. I wanted to put the disclaimer out there, first of all, because I'm not a professional, but I've been estranged. I've been estranged from my daughter for 2 years. And in that amount of time, I took it upon myself to try and figure out, okay, what is happening? Why is she not talking to me? I mean, she's gone through little bouts where she didn't talk to me for a little while, maybe, like, I don't know, a month. But it's because we didn't live close together. We live close together now. And I feel better when I feel like I'm taking action and trying to solve a problem. I'm a problem solver. I think we pretty much all are. And when I don't know the answers, it's very unsettling. So I've been doing a lot of research. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and a lot of the posts and the people that I follow get a lot of comments, of course, about their opinions about whatever the person is talking about. And I wanted to talk about like the categories. There are different categories of estrangement. For example, abuse and neglect, like real abuse. Okay. Like when, like when people do horrible things to children, that kind of abuse, and physical abuse, mental abuse. Those are definitely valid reasons to keep yourself, to prevent you, estrange yourself from your parents, because if they are not taking the steps to fix themselves or be better humans, then you have to say, I need space. I can't with you. So that's one of the categories. And in the comments, people are always attacking, and when I say people, I'm talking about these adult children. And I emphasize the word children. They attack the poster and say, oh, but that's not my case. And what about real abuse? And we're not talking about that. We're talking about the and I'll put it in air quotes, pointless estrangement of your parents because you're having some kind of tantrum or because you don't want to resolve conflict. Okay, so I've got some categories I want to talk about, and in subsequent videos I will maybe take a deeper dive. I really love the comments section. I don't know about you, but certain videos I go straight to the comment section to see what other people are saying. So I wanted to share some of that today too. Let me open up my document here. Okay, so categories of estrangement from adult children. Justified estrangement due to abuse, neglect, or addiction. This is when it is a healthy and protective measure, like I was mentioning earlier, to prevent future harm. And I'm talking about real harm. And mental abuse is real harm. When you cut somebody down, when you belittle them, when you make them feel like they are nothing and worthless, that is mental abuse. So in that case, yes, absolutely. And in any of the posts that I do, any of the blogs that I do, I'm not addressing those people because they've got enough going on I'm not going to be defending any parent that does that to their children, whether they're a child or an adult child. So that is the first category. The other one is estrangement due to child narcissism or entitlement. Now, this is a fun one when the kids are coddled their whole life. And, as a parent, we want to have a better life for our children. We want our children to have a better life than we had. And in our efforts, sometimes we overdo it. We let them live in our house till they're like 30 and not forcing them to get a job because, they're just trying to figure their shit out. That coddling causes these children to become narcissistic and entitled and completely selfish. So when the child demonstrates narcissistic traits such as control-seeking, manipulative behavior, lack of empathy, they may distance themselves when parents actually saying no. So saying no to your child, you got to say no to your kids when they're kids so that they understand boundaries. But if you never say no, and then all of a sudden your kid is like 40 and living in your basement and you say no, then, it can cause some definite trauma with the adult baby. I mean, the adult child. Okay, parental alienation. Parental alienation. This is unjustified estrangement. And I know people that this has happened to, and it is horrific. When a husband and wife or partners decide to separate, and let's say the mom has custody of the kids, they talk bad about the other parent, and so much so that the child actually thinks that the other parent is nasty or selfish or whatever kind of label that they put on them. That's parental alienation. And in this type, the rejection of the parent by the child lacks any kind of rational cause. So this is a case in which, like I get a lot of comments from my followers. They're like, I have no idea why my child cut me off. And it's been, 3 years. All I did was stop by and, just stop by for a visit. And all of a sudden they're not talking to me anymore. But we can pull on that thread later. So that's parental alienation. It's unjustified. When the kid decides for some reason, and you don't even know what the reason is, they made it up in their head, or they're like just looking for a reason because all their friends have alienated their parents. I'm exaggerating, but because let's face it, boys and girls, this is a trend, okay? There are some cases where it's justified, but most of the cases that have been recent in the past few years are unjustified, and they're destroying the family structure. And I will make another video about how you are destroying your children. You adult children are destroying your children. Anyway, so that's parental alienation. And when the husband and wife, prevent the kids, this one lady that I'm talking to online, and her daughter-in-law is preventing her grandson, I think she said grandson, from seeing his dad. They split up, and now she's being evil and vindictive. So because of that, because the son, this woman, that's her son, is being alienated, she just by default is also being alienated. So now she cannot see her grandson because this woman is preventing the dad from seeing him. So of course the grandma cannot see him. So that's parental alienation. Estrangement fueled by relational expectations and personal growth. So this is adult children who may feel trapped and judged. They use estrangement as a way to reclaim their autonomy or cultivate a healthier, more affirming life. So the differences in emotional, moral frameworks and reading, duty-based versus growth-based, can drive these separations. So estrangement fueled by relational expectations. Let's just say that your daughter has a baby. And, your first time grandma's so excited. It's like, let's not even talk about the love that you have for your grandchildren. It's just different from your kids. I'll do a video on that too. But so you're so excited. And then when you had when you had your baby, we didn't have the internet. Okay, you got the internet now, so things are just different. But you cannot assume that your mom or your dad understands that, okay? So we didn't have the internet. All I had was my mom. And her mom had her mom. And her mom and her mom. And sometimes you have your mom and your grandmother. And all the women in the family, the aunties, were all helping the new to give her advice and like, okay, this is how you breastfeed, give her some tips, and don't lay the baby on the back too long. You got to put them down on the floor so that they can like learn their motor skills. These are all things that were taught to us. And of course, when we have our grandbabies, we are like our first grandbabies, we're so excited and like, okay, now I can pass on this these gems of knowledge to my daughter-in-law, whatever the case may be. And of course, it's like, sorry, I don't want any of that, because this is where I get all of my information, because, WebMD is the authority, and I go to Reddit and I look in all of the chats about first-time moms, and I go to my mom groups, and, I don't need any of your help. Well, guess what? Our help is a gift. Okay. And you can take it or leave it. But when you block somebody, there's better ways to say, you know what? I got this. Thank you so much. I got this. Thank you. So that's like relational expectations. You expect your grandchild to, go to the doctor. You expect your grandchild to be speaking, by a certain age. Oh, and when you question anything, you get daggers. And so this is the relational expectations. But instead of trying to resolve conflict and talk about it, like, hey, I'm a first-time mom. This is my first baby. I really want to figure it out by myself. Your advice is, I'm kind of taking it like, manipulation. Sorry, mom. But do you think we can just talk about stuff before, instead of just, dumping all of your, sharing all of your information with me, because I can garner some real gold from that. But I want a journey of self-discovery about being a new mom. So maybe we can work together on that. Why can I have a conversation like that? No, they can't, because it's manipulative, it's narcissistic to give advice where it's unwarranted or unasked for. And by the way, if you are an adult child and you come into my comments and you spread some vitriol, I don't care. I'm going to just delete you. Okay. So estrangement due to dysfunctional family dynamics. I've got some friends and some people that I know that they're like, like definition of dysfunctional family. And in those cases, it's like favoritism, excessive control, emotional manipulation, it's just family fighting all the time. Those kind of situations are justified to kind of keep your distance, right? Because family is family. You don't choose your family. You are born into your family, and they're there because for some reason there are lessons that you need to learn about on your journey as a human being. But you can hold them at bay and say, you know what, this Thanksgiving we're going to do our own thing, and then and you got to let them go. Right. And I'm talking to the adult children. So there are ways that you can work around this without having to just cut people off. And most of these instances that I have mentioned today can, in some cases, justify the estrangement, justify the just chopping off, blocking you on all fronts, changing my door, my locks on my house, changing my phone number, blocking you on Facebook, and all the normal things. Some of those are justified. But when you have no basis for your, no physical or mental abuse basis for your estrangement, you need to figure your shit out. Okay. So I think one of the biggest problems with these adult children is that when we were raising them in the, the 80s, 90s, they weren't told no. And they were coddled and they were given everything. So they don't have the tools to resolve conflict. They don't have the, and this is the first generation that has completely grown up on the internet. We did not. We were like partial, right? Half of our life, most of our life has been out of the internet. And in the last 20 years, we've been online. So, and because they did not have to, they were not forced to sit down and resolve conflict, and communication skills are really, really bad with these people. And so they don't know how to articulate what they're feeling. They don't know how to communicate to like their parents or whatever, what it is that they want, the directions that they want, how, let's talk about the dynamics of our relationship. I'm older now, I'm like 40, and you're in your 60s. Let's figure out how to communicate in this time in our journey. So those are the different types of estrangement, and most of them are justified. And well, two of them are not justified. The parental alienation, where the ex is blocking your grandchild, that is just horrible. Or you know what? I met one woman. I meet a lot of people in my journey with my social media accounts and with my website. I get a lot of people commenting on my blogs, but I came across one woman whose son passed away, and it was tragic. I think it was an accident or something, and his wife got remarried and decided that the new dad was going to become the dad, and the son was not going to know his dad at all. You want to talk about child abuse, because one day these children, all of these children, all the grandchildren that are growing up now without their extended family are going to come for you, mom and dad, because when they find out that you prevented them from having a happy, healthy, wonderful relationship with their grandparents, you're going to suffer. And I know this for a fact because there's another girl that I follow on YouTube. She is a victim of parental alienation. And when she realized, and she grew up and realized what her mom had done, now she doesn't talk to her mom. So table's going to be turned on you, baby. So you better be careful. All right. So that's all I had to share for today. I'm going to make some new videos, and the more videos I do, then I can say, hey, I recommend this one and I recommend this one. But my channel is pretty much new. All right, guys, my name is Annie. And if you wish, please visit grandalienation.com. That's my website. And there's 2 N's in there, grandaliennation.com. Thanks, and I'll see you again.